like they're called Adirondack chairs, and then these chairs that are like made out of wood, and they're from the Adirondack Mountains, and they're really famous. But they have kind of like this. They're made out of wood, and they have this big armrests, and they have like kind of like
Whoa,
arching
that
footrest that you
explosion
can
was
put. Anyway, I
epic.
had one of these
Keep
set up, and I
pushing
had my
forward.
computer set up.
What's your plan to
like in the
tackle those
kitchen or
stubborn
whatever.
foes?
And she watched me, and it was like late at night. I was watching the London session, and she was like watching me at the computer, and she goes, "Do you ever think you're going to get addicted to that?"
Hey there, I hope you're finding this episode useful. I just wanted to let you know that Walter and I give away something valuable every month that helps traders improve their skills. You can enter to win by simply leaving an iTunes review and leaving a comment on our YouTube videos. At the end of each month, we'll look at the comments and reviews from the month, and we'll pick a winner at random. Each comment and each review counts for one entry during the month that it's submitted. So if you're interested in that, be sure to enter after this podcast is over. All right, back to the episode.
And I was like, and I got really defensive, I was like, "Oh no, I never, no, this is investing and blah 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 and all this stuff, I was like all this, you know what I mean? And I was thinking, but she was right, you know what I mean? And that's what can happen when people kind of like try and drag you down and say, hey, like you've been doing this for 4 years, it's not working. Why do you keep doing this? Like, don't you want to just try something else? Like, let's go flip some houses or whatever, like it's on TV, everyone's doing it, or whatever. Like, but I don't blame those people when they say that, because I actually think a lot of it comes from our programming. So we've been taught that there's certain things, that like you do this, you get a job, you save your money, you put in an investment, a retirement account, and that, stocks is a sure thing, that's like wild speculation, that currency trading stuff. And so I understand that, like, why people say that. And I don't actually fault people when they try and detract and say that like tell you as a trader, like I don't know if you should be doing this. Because I think it comes from a good place. I just think that in their minds, they're trying to they're trying to help you. They want to pull you out of this, like that. Like my roommate's sister, who said, "Hey, do you think you ever get addicted to that?" That was coming from a good place, you know what I mean? Like, she wanted to help me, and so to me that's okay. I think the issue though is that it affects you as the trader. So if your wife thinks that you aren't going to be able to pull it off, you get that, even if she doesn't say it. She doesn't even have to say it. Like, what she thinks about it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the tricky part. And so I think sometimes what you can do is you can leverage that. You can go, well, what if I understand what you're thinking and I understand where you're coming from. What if I showed you what I'm doing? And we can, and basically you're like, your wife or whoever the person is, your significant person in your life is like the one who's concerned. Maybe you bring them in and show them your plan, right? That forces a couple of things. It forces you to be accountable, right? And to show that you're actually sticking to your system, kind of like a trading accountability partner. And two, it forces you to come up with a plan. Most people don't. Most people don't have either. They don't have a plan, and they don't have anyone to be accountable to as a trader, and that's the issue. And so, and so, if you can map it out, and when I say a plan, I don't mean like a 12-month plan. I mean like a 5-10-year plan, saying, okay, we're going to do this, and then when this happens, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. And you want to give, you know what I mean? And so you're kind of like, they're on your team now. And so they can cheer you on, and every week you can say, look, this is, what my strategy is. You see my back testing numbers. This is what happened this week. This is why I think, this is why, you know what I mean? So it's more about empowering that person, instead of what the natural instinct is to brush them off, like I did with that, my friend's sister, who was like, are you going to get addicted to that? I just kind of immediately got defensive. So I think you can kind of flip it, and it's better for all parties in that way. But I don't know. I mean, that's the best thing I can come up with, because I know traders that have had that issue, that say, look, my wife doesn't think I'm going to, she's got no faith in me. What do I do? And so the best thing I can think of is to leverage it that way. I mean, I was really lucky because I was single when I when I was trying to figure out trading. So I didn't really have anyone to, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really have anyone to, like, just like friends and stuff. And they were all, like, I had a friend who was actually really good at it. So that kind of gave me hope and stuff. So so I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky thing. I mean, have you run into that in the past?
No, I've been pretty lucky also. Like, I haven't had to deal with that so much. And if I did, it was like online stuff, right? So you can just kind of ignore them or whatever. But but I think it stings also a lot sometimes, because there's an ounce of truth in there, right? like, yeah, this might be addictive. So, you might, so you think about it and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But then, yeah, I think you're right. At the end of the day, I came to that conclusion also. Either you bring them in or you don't talk about it around them. And then just because you're hanging out with that person for a reason. So go hang out with them for another reason and just don't bring the trading into the relationship, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. It's funny how people who are close to you feel like that, they have a license to give you advice. Like it's one thing to ask, right?
yeah.
You can ask, but you can also you can ask and say, like, I know people, and I'm not, people that have gone and sunk a lot of money into mortgages and done things that I thought, like, just looking at the charts, just looking at the housing charts is a bad idea. But I never ever say, hey man, are you sure you're not over leveraged on that? Or are you worried about like the fact that like money is free now and everyone's got a lot of money? Like, do you not think that there's like an everything bubble like going on here? So I don't say that. And if I'm asked, I will tell, but I don't want to like be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, same here. Yeah. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I'm like,
yeah.
And then when I got the other end of that, I'm like, okay, not so cool. So yeah, stop doing that. Right.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Walter.
See ya.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.
Right now I have a bunch of trades on, right? And one of them doesn't look good. It looks like it's probably going to get stopped out. Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this. Hey, Walter, so I'd be interested to find out what goes through your mind as soon as you lose a trade.
Well, that's a good question, right? Like, other than the usual, damn. Yeah. I think my perspective's changed over the years, I suppose. Like, I read once a trader who wrote something that I respect this trader, but I totally disagree. And he said that every time you have a losing trade, I truly believe the markets are trying to tell you something. Like, there's a lesson there. I can see that angle. Like, I can see where you would say that, but I disagree. I don't think so. I think, like, it's like, if you think about it, like genetics, like it's kind of like genetics. Like, some of your genetics you're probably happy about, like the hand you were dealt with, the dice that came out in terms of your DNA. And then some of them you're probably not so happy with. And I think of the same with trading systems. So the number one thing I want to make sure of when I have a losing trade is that I did the right thing. By taking the signal. You know what I mean? And obviously, I don't have this problem anymore. I used to have the problem of moving my stops. So I ended up with a different trade. So I had a trade where I was risking 2%, for example. And then because it got so close to my stop, I'd move my stop. And then I ended up risking 3, 4, 5% on the trade because I wanted to be right. So I don't do that anymore. And then I kind of swung the other way where, as soon as the trade kind of went against me, like 50, 60, 70%, I would bail out of those. And I found out that my testing had shown that it's actually more profitable to let it ride. So that's kind of how I trade now, is I let it ride. But the number one thing I want to make sure of when I have a losing trade is that I didn't fail in the execution. That's really it. Because that still can happen, right? Like, you get in late, or you take a signal that's not really that good, or, those sorts of things. I'm sure you've had experience with those as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the number one thing I look for. Like, I go to the journal it, take a look at the before and after screenshot. 9 times out of 10, it's going to either be like a 1 or, like it was a poor trade, a poor entry, or it's going to be a 4, like an excellent entry. So even if I have a losing week and I have like 2 or 3 1s there, I'm like, I'm okay, because those are just poor trades, so I can improve on something. But if I'm losing and they're all 4s, then there's something to look at, right?
That's right. I mean, I think you've nailed it. That's where I think the major gains are made in trading, is by just keeping your eye on the ball, which is execution. I really do believe that.
Hey there, I hope you're finding this episode useful. I just wanted to let you know that Walter and I give away something valuable every month that helps traders improve their skills. You can enter to win by simply leaving an iTunes review and leaving a comment on our YouTube videos. At the end of each month, we'll look at the comments and reviews from the month, and we'll pick a winner at random. Each comment and each review counts for one entry during the month that it's submitted. So if you're interested in that, be sure to enter after this podcast is over. All right, back to the episode.
The other thing I wanted to say was, like, for right now, I have a bunch of trades on, right? And one of them doesn't look good. It looks like it's probably going to get stopped out, okay? And I think I have 5 on right now. So I was looking at this morning, actually, thinking about, like, what did I... And like all the other ones look fine. It's just this one,
Yeah.
And people would probably call them correlated too. Like people would say, why are you selling the Aussie Swiss and the New Zealand Swiss and the Aussie dollar and the Kiwi dollar? Well, actually, it's not, obviously, because one of them is probably going to get stopped out. Maybe it already has stopped out while we're sitting here, and the other ones don't look like they're really going to get stopped out. So you know what I mean? Like I always consider them to be independent, and so as long as my execution is right, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I don't necessarily think that like I missed out on a lesson. Like I didn't see something that the market was trying to show me. I think that's the road to over optimization, and I think that's dangerous. So
yeah. When I first started, also that's a good point. Like I would think that every losing trade had a problem, so I would like beat myself up over the losing trades. And if I didn't really look at it closely, but if I went back to it, probably 50-60% of them were good trades, but I was just beating myself up over a loss, and it was, I wasn't there to learn anything. It's just a losing trade.
Yeah, and that's because when we first start out, I believe when we first start out, our self-esteem, like our trader self-esteem, comes from our win rate, right? And what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to shift that to execution. I want my self-esteem, my trader self-esteem, my confidence to come from how far am I straying from the optimal execution point, And so that's a different focus, right? And if you look at the free forums, like all the free factory forums, people they're always like, it's almost always about win rate, and it's everything is about, this is a high win rate, this is a great system. It's like, they're not really, in my estimation, they're not really zooming in on the thing that's going to help them the most. I think if you stick with it long enough, you'll get it, but it's just a bit tricky in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, thanks, Walter.
Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.
I don't really do any trading early in the morning. It's more about just babysitting the charts, making sure that, everything's going well. Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this. Hey, Walter, I'd be interested to hear about your morning routine if you have one.
Sure, yeah. So what I like to do in the morning is first I will wake up and I will go and see if the kids are living. And they're not beating up on each other or anything like that. As we're recording this, we're in Australia, we're kind of like on lockdown or whatever, like most places in the world. Yeah, so just making sure that they're all right, that they're fed and they're happy and stuff. Then what I'll typically do is I'll go and look at my charts. So where I live in Australia, the daily candles, the 5 p.m. New York time daily candles, they kind of shift over in the morning. Depends on the time of year. Sometimes it's 9 a.m., like in the summers down here, which is the winters in the northern hemisphere. And right now, which we're going into winter, it's autumn now in Australia. So it's actually earlier, it's 7 a.m. So all I really want to do when I check the charts is I want to make sure that nothing crazy happened. So I'll check the charts, make sure that nothing crazy happened. So there's two ways to look at it. So in the morning, if I have a trade, I will check the trades, right?
Yeah.
If I don't have a trade, I will scan the markets that are on my watch list.